Hello and welcome back to our YouTube channel. We're in April 2024 and today's video is all about how simple lawn care should be. So you may think that there's obviously a bit of a hidden message behind this, but one of the things that we're going to do is just show the condition of the lawns here. If you followed the channel, you'll know about this particular lawn. This is the dog lawn. This is where they go to the toilet. They do go up there, but this obviously is where they do their business. And to a degree, we haven't shown a video this year, purely because we haven't done anything. It's very difficult to, unless you're a YouTuber, it's very difficult to make videos when the grass is doing a lot of the work. But I want you to have a look at this lawn in a close-up way. Now we're mowing this with a rotary mower, about sort of 25-30 millimeters. This so far has not even had a single feed, so we haven't even been able to show that going down. It's getting mown weekly because, again, we've got the right plant here and we've got the right soil quality at the same time. That's what the right plant does. It creates your soil structure, it improves your soil structure, and that becomes the key to plant success. So this now is getting very, very thick and very lush without any feed at all. Yes, we've got some lateral growth here. You can see this is the way this grass species grow. They creep. If you come down here, you'll see a big ugly bit of ryegrass here, which is what we call crowning. It's again very, very ugly, and of course you'll get certain lawn enthusiasts and companies that will tell you to go out and start verticutting and all these different things, which is generally where they're trying to sell their products, which is understandable to a degree. But what do you need to do to a lawn like this now? Well, truthfully, that's going to depend on what really you want from your lawn. Now, as a dog lawn, this is good enough. As you come over here, you can see that we've got a thick, dense canopy. We've not overseeded this lawn probably, well, certainly we haven't overseeded it in 4 years, and I doubt very much it would have been overseeded ever. It's just when you prune this, even in one instance, which is lawn mowing, even when you prune this grass, it gets thicker and thicker and thicker. So it ends up just about being able to control that thickness, really. Now, we haven't scarified this for 3 years, but the soil biology that works underneath is eating the thatch, it's digesting the thatch. So what the problem we have, or we will get, is some of that lateral growth will get uglier and uglier. But we're not going to scarify it this spring. We're going to leave it until autumn, and then we'll wait and see how it performs over the summer. But as I say, it hasn't been done for 3 years. It's never been aerated. But the soil biology and the right plant is creating very simple lawn care. We're going to go now and have a look at the robot mown lawn, again, which hasn't had any work done. So let's go over and have a look at that. So we're in mid-April and the temperatures are getting a little bit cold. We've gone back down to 12s, 13, 14s, 15 degrees. But the grass has been growing quite well. Just quickly on the other lawn, that is a bent fescue lawn, as you well know, predominantly bent, but again, never been seeded. But those seed mixtures are now available in the UK through the Lawn Association, the only place you can currently get them, which is a bit strange. Anyway, we're on to the other, I'd call the robot lawn. And an interesting change happening on this one is, if you come round, this is quite worrying really for a lot of people, but you'll see that Hedwig is no more. We've still got these cables that go all around the lawn. This is the guide wire that goes up the middle of the lawn, for those that you don't know. And what that robot does is finds that wire when it needs to go back and charge. So what's happening on here, slightly exciting for someone that doesn't like to grow grass that often himself, is that we've got another robot coming very soon, and it won't require wires, which is fantastic. We've just given away a piece of land there to our daughter, who will end up probably mowing that with the robot, hopefully, so we can add that on at some stage. But we may also be able to do around this little funny little circular area here, which generally I couldn't get the wires to work, mainly because there's something to do with a 1 meter spacing. If you've got an area narrow and a 1 meter spacing, some of those robots didn't work, or certainly didn't on here. So anyway, for those of you who don't know, again, this is I'd call it the heat pump lawn, and you can see, I don't know again how well this shows it, but if I do it with my tiny legs, you can see me walking up a bump, walking back down, and then walking up. How well that worked, I'm not quite sure, but felt like I was on a little merry-go-round sort of thing. So the heat source pumps are under here. They go flat as opposed to down. So what happens with this lawn is that these raise up and these areas sink down. So it's very difficult to manage this lawn in any shape or form. We've got the wire down the middle, which means we couldn't scarify. We have got these completely changing their degrees of steepness over the summer and then over the winter again. They flatten out over the winter. These sort of come back up a bit, but they go back down again. Or one of them is anyway, I'm not quite sure which one. So we scarified this lawn. This is an ex sort of ryegrass fescue, and there's patches of rye. There's some Yorkshire fog coming in, as you can see. Some people wouldn't like those, but they're a great grass species. If you don't like patches, they're a great sort of summer plant. They kill off any plant within them though, so that's why they clump like that. They give off a gas. So what we did with this lawn in the early stages, it was very poor when we started. Excuse the pussycat coming in. And the ryegrass fescue was in very poor shape. So what we did, we aerated it a couple of times to help dry it out, which meant the fescue then would sort of dominate and take over, which it has. Since then we've done nothing, and all it gets is the food from the leaf blade put back in by the robot mower, and that's kind of where we try and be with this. I have been cutting it, as you can see. I'll talk about this piece of lovely bit of bent fescue here in a moment, but I've been cutting it with a ride-on, and as you can see, these two areas, which are terribly badly bumpy, there's even a crack down there, which again happens with see my feet going down it. That happens again because of the shrinkage and the swelling of the soil. So again, it's not a manicured lawn. It's just really a functional lawn with grass on it. Now, one of the things that we did during training day in November was re-turf a piece of lawn with bent fescue. So if you come over here, you'll see, if you can get a good close-up on that, you can see really what is like a carpet. Now, obviously, we haven't done anything since then. It was laid actually on a day that was horrific weather. But it's looking great, it's looking thick, it's looking dense, it's looking lush, and it'll just get thicker and thicker and thicker. That came from one of the only, probably the only company that supply this currently. But it's so much different when you come over here, where you get ryegrass and fescue. You can see the fescue here dominating with a little bit of smooth stalk, and then the sort of ugly rye quite thin in that sort of bottom area in places, but it disappears very, very well. But it does clump, and as I say, it crowns. If you come down here, you can see it crowning as well, which basically looks very, very ugly. It's another big patch of rye crown in there, and that's what you get when you leave ryegrass lawns for a period. They look very ugly, and they don't become very attractive or functional either, because the plant can't grow upwards with tons of food and water. It collapses and falls over and looks ridiculously ugly, as you can see. So that's the story of this lawn. Again, it's very simple. We haven't tried to change the soils. All we've done is tried to make them drier so that the fescues would dominate, and therefore we could maintain it with a robot. And be interesting to see what the bent fescue does. So we got one last lawn which we scarified in mid-November last year. Two more lawns, I beg your pardon, but we'll go and have a look at the lawn that was scarified on a training day in, well, that was at the beginning of November. We finished scarifying it in mid-November. You would think it would look quite worryingly bad, but in fact it looks rather good. So let's go and have a look at that as well. So here we are on the lawn that we sort of sometimes do a little bit of work to. As I say, scarified mid-November, scarified early November 2023, and then we finished it off because on the training day we only did a few little stripes. So as you can see, if you look down here, the history of this, there was a little bare patch here that we created on purpose. We then scarified it, and then we just threw a little bit of bent fescue down. Now, as you can see, with no work at all, one tiny piece of power there for the enthusiasts, but you can see the carpet-like effect that the bent and fescue has created. So mid-November, this has had nothing else done to it. No feed, nothing at all. It's been cut a few times with a rotary mower. It's been raked about 8,000 times to get all these lovely bits of willow off, which every time I come out and rake them off, we seem to get a storm. So I'm going to stop doing that now. But the lawn is in quite good shape. Again, for the enthusiast, you could quite easily come out here and put a stripe on it. It's not going to... Was that someone in my Lamborghini? Gold Lamborghini. Yeah, that was... Sure, that's mine, isn't it? So yeah, we could come out and put some stripes on this, but effectively it's not going to do much apart from obviously look attractive to some people. Now, we don't weed treat this. All we do here is prune it, mow it, scarify it, and that allows the grass to grow back in. Remember, that's the big difference. If you're going down the ryegrass route ever, you'll be buying grass seed forever. If you go down the bent fescue, you'll probably, if you get it right, and it shouldn't be difficult to do that because the grass does it, is that you probably never need to do it again. And the benefit, the added benefit, which is probably the biggest bit, is that your soil structure will start to improve, it will start to drain better, etc, etc, etc. So all we're going to do here at the moment, and this is probably not out of necessity, is probably put a little bit of true grass down in the next week or two, and then see how it goes into the late part of spring, into sort of May and June time. But as I say, it was mutilated a bit in November, and this is the recovery on a bent fescue. We wouldn't have normally scarified that late, but of course it was a training day, and we wanted to show how a scarify would work. This lawn over here is a little bit different. There's a bit of colour difference as well. Again, this hasn't been fed for a long time. The soil in here is not as fantastic as it is on a lot of the places. I think it was probably from although the house is 1655 or something, I think there was a driveway in here at one point or something. So the soil under here is a bit funny. if anyone wants to come and tell me what this is, I don't know if it's a type of bluebell. I did think this was an orchid growing in here, but if you do know, let me know. I don't know, they look like two different plants to me. But anyway, this lawn has got a lot of weed in it, but again, weeds aren't the problem. It's got a lot of buttercup, a lot of creeping buttercup, and it'll get worse. But the beauty is that with bent fescues, you can control the weed content. We showed you that last year with one of the videos about how you can mow at a certain height and the weeds can be controlled. Here it would be controlled by scarification in probably the autumn time, where we would slice through a lot of those plants and then make the feed and the mowing create a denser canopy that would control the weed content. At the moment we don't particularly even try that because this has never been scarified other than the wet one in the winter just gone. So the last lawn to look at is the rye fescue, which, if you remember, we did a very quick attempt. Yeah, that is my gold Lamborghini, in case you didn't pick that up, but no, okay. I should be so lucky. Not sure I'd ever want one anyway, but there you go. So we got one more lawn to look at, and that was, say, the bent fescue. Quick attempt at trying to get some germination in there. So let's go and have a look and see what we're going to do. So here we are on the ryegrass fescue lawn. As I said, a bit of history very briefly. This was created by a garden designer. Garden designers, in my opinion, don't know enough about lawns to understand water movement, plants, i.e. ryegrasses, and therefore can create a number of problems. So one of the... So apologies about the interruption there. They do say dogs have masters, cats have servants, and I think that's our cat going, haven't eaten for 7 minutes, so please, and she'll be in here in a minute anyway. So the history of this, as I say, it's not blaming garden designers for poor lawn design, but we've got a plant that doesn't work that well together, two plants that don't work together well. We've also then got the problem of water not being able to move across. Just so what we did this autumn, it was just a bit of a token gesture to kind of see how quickly we could germinate bent fescue, which we did in 3 days. And it wasn't to try and make the lawn better. We've always got plans to do a video here, which we'll do in the autumn, where we're going to improve the drainage on these areas that stop water movement. So on a lawn like this, where the soil is compacted, it's already compacted because, again, there's no root development in the lawn to improve the soil structure. We will do a video very soon on how to understand your water percolation on your lawn, which is really something that I try and get every single person to do, because it tells you when it's wet, how wet your lawn and the effect it's going to have on it. So one thing that we're going to do on this is dig it all up, correct those bits at some stage, and then put down the right grass plant. One thing that we did do, just out of curiosity, during the training day, because we had a couple of turfs left over, we just came and plonked them down on here, and we haven't done anything to them. But even now, even this just thrown down on top of the grass, this is much, much firmer. We've got grass cover. Again, it's not mowed by me anymore, so I'm not going to take the blame for this little miss here, for example. But it's a lawn that we know is going to be looked after in a very different way to my lawn over there, for example. So did we succeed in the bent fescue? Now if you come over here, you will see some bent grass over here, look, which is germinated and is starting to creep as bent grass does. That's probably just one little clump. Now the percentage that we've sort of increased over here, bearing in mind it was late September, You know, it's got an evergreen tree there, dripping water and all that kind of thing. We certainly got some success, but we didn't really do it to try and get a long-term success. We would have probably done that in the springtime, when it's definitely going to be warmer. But as I say, it was an attempt. So we definitely got bent grass plants in here. We've got fescue plants in there as well. But as I say, it's not a lawn that we've done anything to or did anything to for long-term gain. This is all going to be removed. The levels brought up, especially over the patio. It's not my plane either, so apologies about that. Improve the levels, as I say, especially over that end where the water does move. And then we may even do something about these boards so that water eventually then can move sideways. It's a big problem on lawns where you've got a patio near your house. If the water doesn't percolate through, it tends to go to the lowest area. In this case, it's all down there. Can't go out that way, can't go out that way, can't go out that way, and it's like creating a mini swimming pool. It's difficult when you've got the right plant. When you've got the wrong plant, i.e. ryegrass, then you've got no hope at all. So not going to be much filming on this lawn this year. As I say, the mowing and the caring for it temporarily is going to be taken over by someone else. But we will film this hopefully around about September time, weather permitting, where we can show how we're going to improve the long-term health of it and make it much more sustainable and much easier to look after as well. Okay, so if you have liked the video, do hit that like, subscribe, comment. Love to hear your comments. I do, you know, generally have 3 minutes out of my 24 hours a day to spare at the moment to answer comments, but I like to help people with problem lawns, and hopefully we may have a little avenue there where we may even look to go around somebody's house and help care for their problem lawn as well. We've got obviously massive problems at the moment with crane flies and very wet lawns after the winter, and we're going to spread out the videoing hopefully to perhaps improve somebody else's lawn as well that's having a lot of problems. So in the meantime, hope you've enjoyed the video. As I say, do comment, do subscribe, and we will have a new video coming up very soon. As I say, it may even be on somebody else's lawn. So other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you very soon.